Hey everybody, it's John Hope Bryant, founder, chairman, and CEO of Operation Hope. That's my mentor and role model and our global spokesman trying to figure out some technology on the fly. He's curious about everything, thank God. Is that a SunTrust power pack?
Yes.
I love it, they brand everything.
You all get those free?
Is it,
I'm sure we can find you one.
can I get one of those?
That's right.
He's financially literate.
Mr. Robinson Humphrey.
Actually, this is a bank that they bought, I think.
Investment bank.
Investment bank that they bought. We're having a conversation within a conversation, people. So, CEO of Operation Hope, founder of Operation Hope, the America's first nonprofit financial services network for the poor, the struggling class, the teetering class, folks with too much month at the end of their money, people like you and me. I'm sitting here with my mentor, Ambassador Andrew Young, our global spokesman for Operation Hope, who was the right arm and the chief lieutenant to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who celebrated today, or recognized today, the 49th anniversary of Dr. King's last flight of his life, and it was here in Memphis, Tennessee, for the Poor People's Campaign. Hopefully we'll get him to say a few words a little later. He was a UN ambassador to the United States, congressman to the United States, mayor of Atlanta, 2 terms, built Atlanta into the only international city in the South, one of the biggest economies in the country, and arguably as a result of that through the world, that he helped to build Atlanta, brought the Olympic Games to Atlanta, and you can look up his name if you're not familiar with his complete resume. But when you pull up the photo of Dr. King coming to Memphis, you'll see Andrew Young getting off the plane with him. When you look at the unfortunate assassination which happened tomorrow, 49 years ago, you'll see Andrew Young on the balcony pointing towards the shooter. We're living in a moment in history, but history never feels historic when you're sitting in it. It just feels like another day. These are history makers for the future. You're going to hear about them in a moment. This is a history maker right now. This man here, this brother, who looks like a hip-hop, cross between a hip-hop star and a basketball player and a football player to boot, but with all this brawn, is actually making smart sexy. He is Johnny Moore, the president of SunTrust for this region. I'm going to repeat that. He's the president of SunTrust, banks for this region. How many assets under your leadership?
We have about $1.2 billion.
I'll repeat that. $1.2 billion with a B under his leadership. Yes, sir.
That's what Dr. King died for.
Mm.
This couldn't have happened before his death.
No. Yes.
That it's hard. I mean, we think of death as sadness, but really, the Christian notion is, and you say it, you can't have a rainbow without a storm,
yes,
but
sir.
you can't have a crown without a cross.
Mm.
You know, and it's through our struggles that we learn to do things in a new way, and almost like with me, I'm 85 now.
Years young.
And but most of the time, when I mess up and say I'm gonna do better next time, it's the messing up that makes me see the new way to do something. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I wanted to do this recognition of Operation Hope and of your financial growth and development, and yours and mine and everything, because there's no way I could have been congressman without the sacrifice of Martin Luther King. And then I got trapped into being a mayor. And that's not a good job. We just, expressway just fell down. And I thank God I'm not a mayor, because I don't know what I'd do about it. But people expect you when you're mayor or something, or when you're heading up a bank, anything that goes wrong, you've got to have an answer to it. And usually God will lead you to an answer. And we're just here to kind of let people know that the bullet did not kill Martin Luther King. It released his spirit from his body. Mm. And his spirit is moving through all our lives. And John Bryant and Operation Hope, Lance Triggs. I want to say Trigg Lance.
It all sounds the same.
That sounds better.
That's right. You just gave me a new name.
Trigg Lance. All right.
That's right.
But that it's an opportunity to help a lot of people put an end to the poverty in their lives. And these two guys, and there's another one that sort of has run with them from the beginning, that they kind of took the Rodney King riots when everybody burned down the community, and they got involved in trying to rebuild that and realized that you have to have good credit, and you have to have good credit scores, and you have to have some knowledge of how money works. And that's where we are now. And you all have evidently had some recent successes thanks to SunTrust and Operation Hope. And I was just here trying to, well, for one, say thank you, and also trying to understand.
Well,
Let me say one
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Andrew Young, Ambassador Young, you said a lot of great things. I think starting with Dr. King and the legacy he has on this city, and the legacy that he has for a lot of African Americans, and just all the individuals who came into this country of abundance, but we're limited so much, and now have the opportunity to do some great things. I mean, we all stand on his shoulders, your shoulders. I mean, you've been very modest about your contribution to America as it is today in this country, and that's something I think I want to say personally, say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say also, you know, this is about these two ladies here, and they're going to tell their story, but, you know, when we started this journey, I say we SunTrust, you know, we're a purpose-driven company that's focused on lighting the way to financial well-being and the birth of the Own Up movement. And that Own Up movement and our partnership with Hope Inside all started, we did a survey. And, you know, banks think they have it all figured out, but this survey revealed really quickly that 75% of Americans face some type of financial stress in their life today. 40% of Americans don't have $2,500 saved for an event of emergency. Mm-hmm. Those are some very disheartening stats when you look at America, this great country.
138 million Americans financially stressed out.
Yeah. And so today it's all about your story, but that's why this partnership for SunTrust and Hope Inside is so important, because both companies are focused on helping individuals achieve financial confidence. And financial confidence is something a lot of people don't have. But I think you're going to tell us how you went from that and how you gained financial confidence. So that's why I'm so excited about hearing your story today and just the overall partnership.
Yeah, and for those of you watching that may not know all the history, Freedmen's Bank was founded 1865 by President Abraham Lincoln after the Civil War to teach, quote, teach freed slaves about money. And unfortunately, Lincoln was killed the next month. And Frederick Douglass tried to run the bank, putting $10,000 of his own money in the bank, which is about $20 million today's dollar. So Frederick Douglass was not a broke man. He was a businessman who we now know as an abolitionist. But he was that's like calling Ambassador Young just a black leader. He's a global leader who happens to be black. Frederick Douglass was a business leader who also was about the abolitionist movement. And when the bank failed, it was said the failure of that bank did more to set free slaves in America back than 10 more years of slavery. And I'm convinced that we just never got the memo on money. We're not dumb and we're not stupid. It's what we don't know that we don't know that's killing us. But we think we know. And Dr. King and Andrew Young, and then Andrew Young, now Ambassador Andrew Young, Reverend Jesse Jackson was with us earlier today, Jesse Jackson was there as well, came into Memphis 100 years after that Freedmen's Bank in '68 to pivot from war and racism to the issue of poverty. And Dr. King said, I'm here to redeem the soul of America from the triple evils of war, racism, and poverty. Andrew Young has said, To live in a system of free enterprise and not to understand the rules of free enterprise must be the very definition of slavery. And so we've committed to open 1,000 Hope Inside locations to finish what Frederick Douglass and Lincoln started. Hope Inside of bank branches, getting them out of the no business back into the yes business so they can say yes to you becoming a homeowner, yes to you becoming a small business owner, yes to you becoming an entrepreneur, yes to you getting your kid through college, yes, that's what the business he wants to be in, but he's forced to say no. He won't tell you this, I'll say it. Head of Communications is about to have a heart attack up here wondering what I'm about to say, but he's forced to say no because your credit score is toe up from the floor up. It don't matter how nice you are. You can be his cousin. Put the camera on him. Just so you can be his cousin. It don't matter. If your credit score is 580, they're not giving you a loan. They won't say it because they can't. But no bank can say it. They actually have to take an application from you by law because of a history of redlining, not this bank, all banks, a history of discrimination. Now it's been an not overkill, but an overreaction to that. Now they must take everybody's application and can't tell you anything about the state of your application when you take it. So I believe that nothing changes your life more than God or love today than moving your credit score 120 points. And if Memphis has a credit score on average of 550, guess what? He can't bank you. He can't. Memphis is dead on arrival if we can't get the credit score up neighborhood by neighborhood. But when you do that, all the lights come on. And now he's got customers, and we've got new success stories, become people, the city has stakeholders, voters, and people who have a stake in this city, and now you have new economic energy. So now we've gone from concept to reality. And we're now 10% of all SunTrust Bank branch locations with Hope Inside. Thank you for your support on that, going across the country. And we're now going from location openings to celebration of success stories of people who actually changed their lives. So with that, our vice president, our area vice president, Sharita, over to you.
Okay, hello everybody. So I'm Sharita Goodman. I'm the Midwest area vice president, and so I oversee all of the locations in the state of Tennessee, Mississippi, and Missouri. And I am so proud to have this gentleman here with me today, and proud to be located inside of SunTrust Bank, where we've invited some of our prior clients to come in and tell their testimony about how we were able to help them at Operation Hope. So what I'll do, I'm going to let them tell their story. We have Miss Jerry Mosby, who actually went through the program in October of last year, and she's excited about the things that she has learned through us, and she wants to share her testimony so that hopefully we can help somebody else feel confident that they can come in and learn and share their testimony so this thing can spread. So Jerry, we're going to get you to tell your story now. How did you find out about Operation Hope?
So I found out about Operation Hope. I went to the SunTrust Bank on Danny Thomas and Parkway, I think it is. However, my car was breaking down and I was ready to buy a car. And I didn't want to use my granddaddy because when I first got out of college, I used my granddaddy to help me get my first car. So I'm like, okay, I've been out of school long enough. It's time for me to do stuff on my own. So I went to the bank and just asking questions, and I was also reading just your financial books by Clark Howard and Dave Ramsey. Just kind of reading things on their websites and everything, and just trying to get a guideline of what I should do. So when I went to the bank, I asked, okay, I need a car, and I want to see if I can get a loan from my bank first. Well, I filled out the application, and I got the no that you were just talking about. So I looked at my credit score. Now, previous to this, I quit my job. I lived in Texas, and I quit my job, but I had a savings that I felt like I could make it through until I found a new job. I was without a job for 6 months. However, I was just paying the bare minimum. I live with my parents, so I could get away with just like paying a phone bill. I didn't have a car note at all. So phone bill and insurance was all I had to pay, but you still have to eat and other things you want to do. So when I pulled my credit score, I was looking, it was...
Don't be ashamed, tell us.
It was like 400 something. I don't remember exactly, but it was... But before I quit my job, it was like 700. So I was just like, okay, what did I do to get it up to 700? Like, what was I doing? And I couldn't think for the life of me what I was doing.
First of all, I want to commend you. That was brilliant. Like, we got to stop the shame.
That's right.
We got to stop the shame. It's ridiculous. Everybody has problems. Everybody screws up. A saint is a sinner that got up. The fact that she said with a straight face and without hesitating, without putting her head down, without making excuses, without blaming it on somebody, she even said, my granddaddy did enough for me. It's time for me to do for myself. The fact she said I had a 400 credit score, everybody should be giving her applause. They should just be commending her. Yay, because that's what we need. People who stand up for themselves and said, I am somebody. So I want to interrupt your flow, but I just want you to know I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you.
I'm more proud of you about how you manage your failures than how you manage your success. Success is easy, but life is 10% what life does to you, and 90% how you choose to respond to it, right? Your response has been fantastic. So, back at you. That's fantastic.
Okay. So, I figured out, okay, in order to get a car without high interest rates, I learned so much trying to get a car on my own. However, I didn't want the high interest rates, and no matter where I went, they was going to give me a high interest rate. So, to keep it in my budget, I had to go to my granddaddy again. And I was just like, Granddaddy, can you help me get a car? Because I need you. So, I finally got me a car, and my car note was under $300, only with the help of my granddad. And the guy told me at the dealership, there's no way you can get this car and have this car note without your grandfather. So, so after that, I'm just like, okay, Jerry, eventually you're gonna want to buy a house. You have to do something. I went back to the bank and met with the same lady that I had talked to previously, and I told her, I was like, well, the bank denied me for a loan, but I got a car. But she was telling me about the program Operation Hope. She was like, there's a girl named LaCheryl downtown. Just go see her. Here's her phone number. And I was calling, and I think I had the wrong number. So I went back, and she gave me the correct number. Mm-hmm. So I called and got in touch with her, and she was like, okay, well, come on in, and we set up our first meeting. Now, I am a person who knows how to budget. Budgeting is not my problem. I can lay you out a budget. I can tell you how to spend your money to the T. When it comes to my money, I can plan it all down, but sticking to it is the problem. And that's what I enjoy about Operation Hope, because it gives you somebody who holds you accountable. Mm-hmm. And it's not only holding you accountable at one time, it's month after month after month, looking at your finances and saying, why did you buy this $400 purse when you know you couldn't afford it? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, ugh, I can't justify that. No. So, and then she also helped me understand not just, oh, let's get your credit score up, but let's look at your credit report for line, and see. She started just asking me all these questions. I'm just like, she's like, why haven't you paid this? I'm like, because I don't want to. Why haven't you? Because I don't want to pay that either. And student loans was the world's worst, because it's just like, my total schooling cost me $100,000 for 4 years.
Wow.
And I do want to go back to school, but I have to get my student loans down. And I just was not paying them. It's embarrassing that I wasn't paying them, but it's just like, I wasn't paying them. So she helped me to not fear paying for student loans and making payments. And I had medical bills, past due light bills. What else did I have? And I had some credit cards. I wasn't big on credit cards because I knew the trouble that they could cause, so I've always kind of stood back from them. However, she just sat out and we wrote a plan out every month, and we had a checklist. Did you finish everything? And if you didn't, why not? Mm-hmm. So I really appreciated the accountability. So the last time we met was January or February. However, I was getting ready for my son's birthday. My son is 1, but he turned 1 February 9th. And I was getting ready for his birthday party. I was like, yeah, we're going to have a Mickey Mouse theme, and we're going to have this big cake, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And she's like, Jerry, $150 is your budget. I was like, no. Like, no. This is my baby's first birthday. She's like, $150 is your budget. So with that, I can cook. So I made cupcakes, and I created a cupcake bar. And I just started making everything on my own and trying to cut corners. And, he's 1. He's not really going to remember it. It's more so for me. Mm-hmm. So things like that she really helped me
That's what I
with.
said.
And
What is it that you got out of that whole
out of the
experience?
whole experience, it's just like live for you. You don't have to live. You can live inside of your means and be happy. You don't have to live outside of your means. Yeah, you want the Kate Spade purse, or you want the Michael Kors purse. You want material, but that's material stuff. But in the end, like, I want to leave my child with something. Like, whether I die today, in 100 years, whatever, I want to leave my child with something. And I want to be able to teach him, you know, this is how you need to spend your money. This is how you need to budget. Your credit score is very important. It's like, sometimes we miss that.
A lot of times.
I did learn in school how to balance checkbooks, but like today checkbooks are kind of not. I don't have a checkbook. I use everything my debit card. So with the checkbook, everything was right there, the lines, and you had everything. So as you write a check, you can just document it. I knew how to do that, but when you swiping the debit card, it's just like, I got it, and you forget to balance it out.
Are you a
But
swiper?
I am a swiper.
That's a phrase I heard
Learned today.
Are you a
That
swiper?
that's
That's a new
That's
phrase.
what
You
gets me
know
in
what
trouble.
that means?
I didn't know, but I do now.
I don't, yeah. Swiping
no,
that
I take it back. I used to be a swiper.
Okay.
That gets you in
Because-
trouble.
Don't be a swiper.
Because
You will
now
go broke.
I have to be held
what
accountable.
she said is there's no record of your purchases.
No.
And I hadn't thought about this, but at least with a checkbook, you keep a record of it.
Yeah.
Well, the only record is if you have online banking, you see every one of those transactions clearing. You see pending up there, and you can see if you got the money to cover it. So
You do.
It's
It's
accessible.
It's on my phone.
That's right.
So
I do have the feature of text. I get a text message every morning about my balance that comes to my phone every morning. I have also a threshold, so it texts me if I goes below the threshold. So I do appreciate, and those little small things just really help. And it's just the program itself. The last time I checked my credit score, it was like 600.
Ooh, wow.
So
So from a 4
to a 6 in
to
7
a
months.
6 in 7 months.
So I am so excited because it felt so good to just pay stuff off and not have to worry about it or dodge phone calls or dodge mail. It's just like, it felt good to know that's paid off. I don't have to worry about you calling me or anything else anymore. I'm okay. I can move on and pay the next one. Now I did get permission to use a credit card. However, I had I can only spend $65 on. So she would
You stand at the
$65 per what?
30%.
$65 per what?
per month.
Per month.
That's
Okay.
it. That was all I could use. Even though my limit was $250. And the great thing about that one, good but not good. With that credit card, my limit at first was $250. They increased my credit limit to $500.
She's paying on time.
So,
Good.
but yeah, I have to pay it on time. So it has been a great experience, a great program. I really, really, really appreciate y'all putting this program together because it's just so much I have learned that I can teach and help other people just in my family. Like, I tell my family about the program, but I can also just sit down and say, okay, you got a new job. Let's sit down and do your budget now. So when you get your first check, you're not just ready to splurge and spend. You know, I can actually help them and give and share those tools that I received here with this program with somebody else.
Right, that's
So-
good.
So what you talk about that one thing you talked about when you went to get that car loan at higher interest rate. So what rate did they quote you?
I think I had 11%,
So
12%.
So today, if you got a good credit score, 700 range, just say 675 to 700, you're probably getting an interest rate of 2%. So 2% versus having a low credit score, paying 11%.
Yes.
So, you know, you can do the math really quick. It's very punitive. Just say, I mean, on $100, you're paying 10%. That's $10. You paying 2%. That's $20. I mean, $2. Yeah.
$2, yeah.
$2 versus 10.
So, and if you go to a check casher, by the way, a little bit off topic, but same topic. If you have a 500 credit score or 400 credit score, you go to a check casher with your money. This is your money. You've worked your tail off of your money. You just earned $100. They're gonna charge you 8 cents in some cases, depending on what the kind of check. But it's, let's just make it 5 cents. So you'll give them $5 of your hard-earned money of $100. You're gonna take 95. It's like sharecropping.
But even $5 isn't bad. They charge you $20 for some of this.
Oh yeah, payday loan lenders are just that's truly egregious. There's a person who asked. There's a lot of comments here, and one of them, Kayleen Ross Reynolds. So yes, this is live, Kayleen, and yes, I'm reading your question. At what point, deep down inside, she has an arrow like this. Deep down inside, it made you change your life.
I have a son, and because I have a son, it's fine to mess up financially when you by yourself and when you staying at home with your parents. However, when you move out and all your bills become your bills and you're not relying on mom and daddy, and now you have someone relying on you.
Are you working?
I work. I do.
Like what?
I'm a chemist.
Are you a what?
I'm a chemist. My exact title is a QC analyst, but I'm a chemist.
What is
A
a QC?
chemist. That's what I'm talking about. A chemist.
I work for. Can I say what I work?
Yeah.
Okay. I work for GlaxoSmithKline, which is known as GSK, which is a pharmaceutical company.
You're lucky to have her, Glock. You're lucky to have her.
So
Every brother out here, she got a job and a 700 credit score. Is she cute? Oh my God!
No, he need to say, I have a job too.
There you go. Don't come to her broke.
That's right.
Don't come to her broke.
Without a car.
She understands.
I'm
that.
taking.
That's it. She's
I'm
taking.
taking.
She said she's taking. She's off the market.
Oh, you taking?
I'm taking. I have a boyfriend of 5 years, and I love him to death.
Oh,
So
Check his credit score too.
But look,
get him together.
do you
Get
pay
it together.
your taxes? Well, I don't know. We don't need to know how much you make, but if you're making less than
$50,000.
$50,000 a year, when you pay your taxes, you are entitled to an earned income tax credit. So the government should be able to send you some money back.
Yep. And so we're not getting in your business. This is somebody's business watching Facebook Live. So I don't even answer this question. But let's just say this more generally. If you know somebody in your family, and we all do, that makes $28,000 a year, $32,000 a year, the government owes. Ambassador Young's right. The government owes between $3,000 and $4,000 a year cash. So if you open a SunTrust account, they can wire the money within 30 days into that account. You can't get the money without a bank account, so that's an encouragement for somebody to get a bank account. And it's retroactive for 3 years.
Which means you could get $10,000, $12,000 back.
So
That would
yeah.
get you out of debt. See? And get you a credit score up to about 7 something.
Yeah, well, yes, it depends on the debt load that you've got because so everybody's debt load is different. But the point
You know,
is,
most of us are not greedy, and except for student loans. Now that's another conversation.
but you're right. No, the consumer debt levels are really what spiked the credit score. So if she has a credit card that has a $2,000 limit, she owes $1,500. If she can pay that down to $800 in that example, you know, $2,000 limit, pay it down to $800, it'll spike your credit score up. Did I get that right,
That
John?
is correct because it's based on how much availability you have.
That's right.
So if you're close to maxing out all your revolving credit lines,
Yeah.
that's going to heavily penalize your score.
Yeah, and that's separate from the student loans because student loans are a term debt
Right.
obligations. That's completely different. All you do that is just keep making pay. This is a very good. This is a very. I mean to do a separate video on this. Of different types of debt. So is on a term loan, you just need to pay it.
Right.
But on consumer debt, you got to make sure
You got
it's
to
right.
pay it, but also make
Manage
sure
it.
you don't max out your balances that you show you got availability because if you got a lot of trade credit lines and you max them out,
They don't know
that's
what
gonna
they don't know what a
that's gonna
trade credit
be-
line is.
Say you got a J.C. Penney's,
There we
a
go.
Kmart, a Macy's,
Right.
a Dillard's, a
Right.
Discover, a MasterCard. You got all these different credit cards.
Which is
Now,
going to be high interest rate, by the way.
if
because
you
they
don't pay
cost
them
you.
in full out within 30 days, you get the first 30 days free. But if you don't pay them 30 days, you got higher interest rates. But if you got a lot of those type of accounts and you are close to the max on all those balances, that's going to be very punitive on your credit score. The first thing you got to
30%.
do is try to pay some of them off and close them to free up availability in your and help your score.
So if you got the EITC and you gotta, go ahead,
Earned income tax credit.
right?
When you file your taxes, you should ask for the earned income tax credit.
Well, you don't even need to wait to file your taxes. By the way, you can just come see a Hope Financial coach. You can amend your tax return anytime during the year and get your EITC, open a bank account, and get within 30 days, get your money wired.
Now, there are a lot of older people like me that I didn't want to admit to myself that I was 62. And that was 22 years ago, 3 years ago. But my wife's good friend worked at Social Security. And she said to me, "Did you apply for your Social Security?" I said, "Am I old enough for Social Security?" She said, "Yeah, you old enough for Social Security." And so she got my Social Security number, and she checked on it. Now, I knew she worked at Social Security, so you don't give anybody your number much, but somebody who worked there, and she got me back Social Security. See, I was like 64, and I would have been qualified to get it since 62.
Right.
See, and so I got 2 years back Social Security. Well, first thing I did was pay off some of those debts. See, and if that's what these people can teach you.
Wait a minute, you tell me that an icon in the world has credit issues, credit and financial issues? And,
Oh, I had so many credit issues. You want me to do my testimony?
So Facebook Live family, you want to hear a credit testimony from an
Here's
icon?
why. Because I've always had a job, and I've always been married to a teacher,
They said yes.
and I've always helped people. And almost right now, when I go back, one of the guys in the civil rights movement died in California. And they wanted somebody. Now, SCLC doesn't exist anymore. So they called me, and he said, "Look, some of us need to go out to California to the funeral." He said, "The ticket is $800. And he said, "I went on and bought it, but that's going to wreck my finances." So I said, "Well, I tell you what, when I get back, I'll give you $300 or $400. Well, I'll split it with you." Well, I don't know whether I got that kind of money or not. I'm a SunTrust banker, though. And I do another stupid thing. I don't know how to get my bank balance. In fact, I might let you teach me right now.
Get the SunTrust app.
I got a SunTrust app,
Yeah.
but I don't know how to use it.
Well, you got the SunTrust app, you gotta link your account so you can get it. So that's that one step you probably hadn't done.
Now, do you guys hearing this? You got a guy who's got 130 honorary doctorate degrees, mayor of a major city, congressman, on the banking committee, Dr. King's writer on the civil rights movement, Presidential Medal of Freedom awardee, basically the Nelson Mandela of our time, who just said, "How do I use my SunTrust app? Can you guys help a brother out?" So, and you got this wonderful chemist here, nuclear scientist basically, who said she had a 400 credit score. What are you tripping on?
Right.
We don't know money.
Yeah.
And we take, and like I was saying, I'm a sucker the people in the movement were all poor.
Yeah.
And I at least got a regular salary. So if somebody was about to get evicted from their house and I had the money, I'd write them a check for the rent.
Yeah.
See? Well, then my wife would pay the rent or pay something else out of the same account and not tell her that. And before you know it, we bumping up against either overdrawn or something. But anyway, after living now with Martin Luther King, and I don't know what you make, but Martin Luther King paid us $6,000 a year. That's all. See? And I had 4 children. Now, fortunately, my wife was teaching school. But still, I had children going to college, and if I had to pay tuition, I'd borrow money and pay the tuition, keep them in school, because that's all I said I could do. And anyway, after living like that for 30 years or so, somebody came from SunTrust, came to my church and said, I'd like to help you be your personal banker. I need to get some clients. And I said, well, I'd be glad to be a client. I never had a personal banker.
By the way, people are tripping. You have credit score issues on here. They can't believe it. Go ahead.
No, but when she got through, and she and my wife sat down, and we got through all of our bills on the table and how we were paying them. First place, she checked the interest rates, and I was paying too high interest rate on my house note. So she took my house note, which was 8.9%, and she got an approval for 3.9%. Well, that left me a whole lot of money in there. And then we pulled some other things together that bills, and consolidated all the credit card debt, paid all that off with the refinancing of the house note. But when it ended up, she saved me $973 a month.
Wow.
See, just by having somebody who knows banking. Now, I was scared to go in a bank and let them. I was ashamed of my finances. I didn't want everybody. I'd been the mayor and the congressman and the ambassador to the United Nations, and I mean, I got to go in and admit I'm a broke nigga. and that's what it amounted to. And so I was ashamed. But when she came to me in church and offered that service, see, it got me back in order. And I have not been in any trouble since.
People
But
are cracking up.
no, but that's.
The truth is.
I mean, I have not been ashamed of it, because everybody thinks when you talk about financial literacy, you're talking about educating children.
Right.
No, we're talking about educating school teachers.
Yeah.
We're talking about doctors, friends of mine. We're talking about lawyers
Yep.
that get in trouble. We're talking about people with PhD degrees. Pharmacists have problems. But I was on the banking committee of the Congress of the United States, and my finances were messed up because I was living in two places,
D.C. and Atlanta.
D.C. and Atlanta. Got
Congress
children
does
in
not pay for
college.
that.
See, and every congressman, I knew a congressman from New York who couldn't even afford. He was white. He couldn't even afford to get an apartment in New York. And I mean, live in New York and have an apartment in Washington. And he used to sleep on the couch in his office. See, and that's one of the reasons why we are not the only ones in trouble. Our whole United States government has got as much debt as it has taxes. I mean, we have a $20 trillion gross national product. But we have $20 trillion in debt. So the U.S. government has a kind of weak credit score. Now, that's not the same problem for a government as it is for an individual. Governments are allowed to pay debt, but that's one of the problems we're facing nationally. Now, just to know that finance does work when you know it. I couldn't create debt as mayor of Atlanta. So I learned how to attract investment. See, and I went to places where I knew they had more money than they knew what to do with. And I invited them to come and invest in Atlanta and help us create jobs. We now have over 2,000 German companies in Atlanta. And they didn't bring Germans to work with them. They hired our students. And we have 667 Japanese companies. So, and I don't know how many others, but we when I became mayor, during the 8 years I was mayor, we brought in 1,100 businesses. They brought in $70 billion with them, and we created over 1 million jobs in Atlanta. See, and because by that time, but that was all before I still was I still was in bad shape financially, personally, but I kept the city out of debt, and I kept building, but I neglected myself, and that's what a lot of people do.
But let me clarify something. One other thing, because people are saying, by the way, like Ricky Bugg says, the humility being shown here by Dr. Young, phenomenal leadership. Thank you, my brother and fellow frat brother, I guess he said. So, and somebody says, watching here from Monrovia, Liberia, South Africa watching. So people from all around, Zena Knox, who you know, is watching. So a lot of people are watching, and they're inspired by your humility. But you should also know that while he did not take any money when he was the co-chair of the Olympic Games, he went to 180 countries and got them to vote to bring Atlanta Olympic Games.
55 of the 85 voted for us.
Sorry, 55, sorry, thank you. 55 of the 85 countries voted for Atlanta. He knew all those people. He went and got those votes around the world. Now, when he became chairman,
Jackson, we had a nice team, but we organized and we got the Atlanta Olympics to go.
Yeah, he's being having humility. No one, wasn't nobody global but him. Be clear about that. So he went and got the votes from all these folks, these places, to bring the Olympic Games to Atlanta. Here's my point: they financed the Olympics privately. $2 billion of investment.
$2.5 billion.
$2.5 billion of investment. And when he got the Olympics there, he became co-chairman, refused to take a salary, refused to let his children get a contract, because he knew that somebody was going to then accuse him.
No, what my daddy told me, and I want to say this, my daddy told me when I was about 10 years old, he said, you see this soap? This is good soap. This is ivory soap. It's 99 and 44/100% pure. But that's not good enough for you. I said, what do you mean? You can't be 99 and 44/100% right. I said, why not? He said, ivory soap is white and you black. And if you are cutting even that little bit of a corner on something, somebody's going to jack you up. So I knew when I became mayor, it was cheaper for me to be broke than to get in debt or to get behind. So I just didn't accept any salary from the Olympics. Now, when we were called up before the Congress, because they couldn't understand how we could raise $2.5 billion and spend $2.4 billion, have $100 million left over, and minority and female-owned companies got 41% of $2.5 billion. Wow. See, and the Congress wanted to know how we did that. Well, everybody was nervous going before the Congress. Well, one, I'd been in the Congress, so I wasn't nervous about that. But most of all, Tom Bradley, mayor of Los Angeles, said, now you can do this, but you and nobody in your family can make any money. He said, because when you're raising money privately, if people think you're getting some of it yourself, they're going to mess up the whole thing. Everybody's going to want more than their share. So to be able to make sure that minorities got money, that women got money, that nobody got more than one big contract, we spread it all over the city and it helped everybody. I could get nothing. Well, that was a small price to pay, see? And it helped the whole city. And then the little girl comes to church and she helps me get out of trouble. And I haven't been back in difficulty since.
That saves you $900 a month, right?
$973 a month they saved me.
That lady,
But now here's the other thing, which is also.
But before he switches the topic, my point was he's got a good name. That was my point. That he may have not, he said, I'm not gonna make this money here. I'm not gonna make this money here. But his name was invaluable to him. So now, what's his name globally, right? It's invaluable, and people, will do anything because he calls them. we're trying to get, I can't say the name right now, we're trying to get a really big name to speak at our annual meeting next week. We got all these people coming around the world, but this one person, they don't care how much credibility I've got, they're going to answer the call because he's calling. That's credibility of your name, and you can't buy that. And what you have now is credibility in your name.
You got a good name.
And a great credit score, and whoever that dude is better treat you right. What are you about to say, Ambassador?
No, I'm saying that, and that's what I told my children. I said, I'm sorry, I will never be able to leave you any money, but I will give you an education, and if I can afford to, I'll help you get your first house. But then you're on your own. Say, I'll leave you an education and a good name, and then you're on your own. And it's working. So for 85 years, and my grandmama used to say, "I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread." See? But you have to understand the way money works. Now, what I was about to say also is that as a result of having a private banker, personal banker, they gave me, once I got in order, they gave me a different kind of bank account that paid interest. And then I had an investment account so that when I did make a little money, I started saving it, see? And I was no longer in politics, and so I was doing much better. And the interest and the economic growth of that account has just about paid off did pay off my house mortgage. See, so I worked for money for half my life, but then the next half of my life, money has been working for me. But I started early. I was really blessed because
somebody said a lesson from a bar of ivory soap.
Yeah. you get. I mean, look, all of the look at the mayors in jail.
Yeah.
And they're not dishonest. And white people have been doing more than these black mayors have been doing for hundreds of years. They never investigate them. They don't investigate the state of Georgia, but they got half a dozen FBI people roaming around Atlanta looking for somebody black doing something wrong.
Well, it's a better story. It sells newspapers, and so what Ambassador is trying to tell you is that it's not about race, because we're serving rural white populations just like we're serving urban black populations. And truth be told, if we had a discussion here, and we hope to have it, by the way, tomorrow or the next day, with Caucasian success stories, they have the same stories, and small town mayors who happen to be white would have the same gripe that Ambassador Young just had. What he's saying is that when he was growing up, unfortunately, and we were blessed not to have the situation, but if you were black, you were subject to a different situation. And what Ambassador Young and Dr. King and others did was to remove legal segregation from your life. That doesn't mean that the world's going to treat you wonderfully, but it means that legal segregation is no longer your issue. Now you can't segregate your mind, you can't segregate your hopes, you can't segregate your credit score, you can't segregate your dreams. You gotta liberate all that and understand that everybody's got problems today. Everybody's got problems.
Yeah, but everybody that pays attention to the money can make it. I was going to go back to when I was a little boy, and during the Second World War, all of my teachers, we used to have to compete with classes. Who can buy the most defense stamps for the war effort? And so every Friday they'd say, now, I want you all to get some jobs, or collect some bottles or some coat hangers, or find some way to make some money, because our class wants to buy more defense stamps. Even you too young to remember that. Defense stamps.
You remember defense stamps?
Yeah, and that was
Bonds, right?
defense stamps and war bonds.
Yeah.
And if you everybody had a little book, and you'd come in there, and if I cut the grass for somebody, if I ran an errand, say, or something, I'd come in and I'd buy defense stamps. So, because I always wanted my class to win. We were competitive, and we'd collect bottles and stuff. Well, when you got $18.75 in stamps, they gave you a war bond, which in 10 years was worth $25. See? And then people would give you war bonds for your birthday or for Christmas or something like that, because everybody was in the Second World War. Well, when I got through with high school, I was in elementary school when the war was over. I'd just gone to high school. And a man came by trying to sell my father mutual funds. And my daddy said, "I'm sorry, but I was in the Depression, and I'm just been saving money. I got to send these boys to college, and because they ain't smart enough to get scholarships." So he said he didn't have any money to invest. And I asked my mother, I said, "What happened to all those war bonds?" I said, "Do mutual funds pay more than war bonds?" He said, "Oh yeah, we pay much more than war bonds." So I said, "How many war bonds do I have, Mother?" And she went, and my mama kept all the money right. And it was something like $275. See? And I said, "Can I put that into a mutual fund?" He said, "Oh yeah." So I took the war bonds, cashed them into a mutual fund, $275. When I was 12 years old. He said, what do you want to invest in? I said, "Well, I don't know." And he gave me the list of all the kind of investments, mutual funds. And I said, "The only thing I know something about is paper. And people go always use paper, so I will invest in paper." So he put it in paper. I forgot about it. I went on through high school, through college, and then me and my daddy had the only fight of our life. He wanted me to be a dentist, and I did not want to be a dentist. And I decided I wanted to go to a seminary. And he said, "All the preachers I know are either poor or crooked." And he said, "If you don't want to go to dental school or medical school, you on your own." And I said, "Okay, well," I didn't have any money, and I had a job as a volunteer. And I asked my mother, I said, "Do you have any money for me anywhere?" She said, "You have those mutual funds." And I said, "Can you see how much they were worth now?" I remember they were $275 when I bought them in ninth grade. And after going through 12th grade and 4 years of high school, and those were very good years in the economy, right after the Second World War, $275 had grown to $650. See, and I ain't touched a thing. I ain't hit a lick of the snake. But money invested can grow. And so we cashed them in, and my mama gave me $650 to start. Well, I bought me a little English Ford, paid cash, $400, and I went on up to seminary. And but I had set aside, and so your kids, start them saving a little money very early. See?
By the way, you guys may not think that that's a lot of money he's talking about now, 200 some odd bucks, they're turning into 650, but that was, he's talking about in the 40s?
1943.
So probably 2,500 bucks to $8,000, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, so he had a tripling of his money basically, but we're talking about thousands, not hundreds. Because you can go buy a car for cash. That's probably $6,000 a used car, right?
It was a $4,000 used car.
Yeah. So look, Ambassador Young's got Reverend Jesse. The people keep coming in here trying to grab him. Ambassador Young has Reverend Jesse Jackson waiting for him, of course unannounced, at Withers. So they want to pull you to go film there, and we'll just keep going. But I hope you guys have enjoyed having Ambassador Young as part of this conversation. We got all these folks. There's everybody just loves more testimonials. John, both the young lady and Ambassador Young did a phenomenal job being so transparent. People want to hear. This is O'Neill Lyons. People want to hear real stories from everyday people that have taken their lives back through Operation Hope. This type of platform will explode the movement for sure. Great video live. Thank you, Ambassador Young. So can we now hear your wonderful story?
We have a good one from Miss Jacqueline Johnson, so please.
I'm truly honored to be around you guys with such stature. You know, a lot of our young people are never around successful black men because they don't have anyone
Speak up just a
to
little bit.
show them, you know, the way, and that you can do something with your life. But that's that. My story, I went into the bank and I asked my banker, I asked her, you have anybody that can help you with your credit? She said, yes, we do. She gave me her name. And I said, well, I never got with her. She said, well, she quit. I said, oh, man. Okay, I was in another SunTrust on Elvis Presley. And I asked the lady, and she gave me hope. That was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. And then, of course, when I had the contact with Cheryl, and we met every month, I never missed a day. And I almost went through the whole course, other than 1 month. She let me go because I had done everything she asked me to do. And my scores wasn't that bad.
But do you
anyway,
mind us asking where did you start?
My score was 648.
Okay.
When you started.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And
It's better than my score was, by the way. I was in the 500s.
And I had just divorced after 28 years. Didn't realize he had not refinanced that house to get that house out of my name.
So the house is still your
The
divorce.
house was still in my name.
Did you know that, by the way? Did you know when you get a divorce that if the house is in both of your names, first of all, it is either the title or the mortgage. And what you don't want to have is have the mortgage in your name and the title is in his name.
Right.
Or the mortgage is in your name, title's in both of your name. Well, that's actually better. But I mean, just because you get a divorce does not mean that presto, poof, that all your financial entanglements are done. In fact, if you have credit cards together, or they got a credit card, you gave them one of your credit cards, you divorced, don't think that that's not still being counted against you. Hello.
Yes. My lawyer took care of that.
Okay. And she said that with a straight face. She wasn't
I
playing.
had a bad young lady. She took good care of me.
Okay.
Now, I said, I do not want the house. I cannot afford that house that I had lived in for 18 years. No one had lived in that house but us and our son. That was devastating to me, but I got over that. But I signed the house over to him. He had become a diabetic. He was going through, having to go through dialysis. I didn't want him to uproot his whole life. You know what I mean? There weren't but a few things in the house that I wanted, and he gave it to me. Because
Yeah.
I had a lot of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Because I love antiques, so
Yeah.
he could care less.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the story on that. And so when I got with Cheryl, that's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Cheryl. They don't know who you're talking about. Hope Financial Coach?
Yes, Hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the Hope Inside location.
Yeah, here.
Here at SunTrust. Okay.
Yes. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I try to let people know you can get help. Do you know what your score is? Because I really didn't know what mine was with the three, credit companies. But anyway, she went through it like whoever yours was.
Cheryl asked you.
Yeah. What do you pay out a month? What are your bills? I didn't have a lot of bills. He had them. And I didn't have to worry about anything really. But now, it's on me now. And anyway, she said, make sure you pay all your cards, everything on time. And she gonna know now. You can't tell her a lie. Because when she pull up your credit report, and ding, ding, ding. And anyway, so she asked me to open up like a savings at another bank. First time, I think that's what I did. She said, open it up like $500. And she said, just pay on it like a credit. That gives you good credit as well. Because I'm trying to build mine. And so she said, that $500 can go toward your down payment on your home you want. Because I did want to buy a home. And but I'm making short, I was truly, truly blessed. I am in my new home
2 months, right?
of 2 months.
Yeah.
Whoa, really?
Yes, sir. And that was because of you guys. Hope.
And SunTrust.
I wait till I get to be 65 years old
That's okay.
to buy another house.
I love it.
Nobody but go.
But this is your house.
This mine with my name on it. You got that? With my name on it. Beautiful home. 3 bedrooms. Loved it.
In Memphis?
Yes.
Adding to the tax base in Memphis, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
please pay attention.
I was in a rental for two years. And God already told me it's time for you to go. I have made her money off me for 2 years. I started packing. I said, 'cause I'm leaving here. You know about my family? No, she ain't going nowhere. She got all this stuff packed up. She ain't going nowhere. But yes,
Look at
sir.
it now.
I closed, like I said, the 25th of February. I closed. I dialed everybody. Oh, I text. I'm closing on my house today.
My house,
My house.
underline my.
Mine.
That's right.
And I'm sorry to say, my husband and I, we didn't leave on good terms, but the last year we did. My ex passed away suddenly
Sorry about that.
December 31st. He didn't make it to 2017. But I'm still trying to get over that because, like I said, we were married so long. But
you moved on.
But I moved on.
But still we rise.
Yes, we do.
Johnny, you about to say something?
So talk to me a little bit about
Excuse me.
your sense of purpose, how you feel now. I mean, self-esteem, about where you were, just say a year ago.
Yeah.
Your biggest score,
I
you
was-
getting divorced, it's just starting.
was a
Basically, your
lot.
life was starting over.
Yes, basically starting all over. I wait till I get this age, and I got to start all over. Wow. But I stayed prayed up. I asked God to keep my mind. I never, ever got discouraged. I tell anybody that. I've got a story. I'm a breast cancer survivor. 2010. I have a twin. Her breast cancer was 2008. Don't tell me God is not good. And he showed me favor. And he continued to show me favor.
But part of that has to do with your attitude. Understand, people. And by the way, Yolanda Frazier says here she's going to the Hope Global Forums next week. Is next week in Atlanta, Georgia, April 10th through 12th. And the CEO of SunTrust, Bill Rogers, is speaking. The head of branch banking, Brad Dinsmore, is speaking. Hopefully, Johnny Moore is going to come and speak. The whole SunTrust family will be there. Susan Johnson, head of marketing, chief marketing officer, highest ranking African American in SunTrust, is speaking. She says, I made my hotel reservations for your conference. The customer service agent told me that her friend just had a house built at the age of 70.
Wow.
And I thought it was too late for me because I had no kids or grand. So she's saying is it doesn't matter when you start, it matters when you start. It matters that you start, not when you start, right? So never give up your dreams or defer them, and never discount yourself, which is what you're saying, but still I rise. What I got though in meeting you and just looking in your eyes, I see hope. I see a lady who sees the glasses half full, not half empty. Somebody who's positive, who sees the good in even a tough situation. And I think that a lot of disease is dis-ease. And you go to a hospital and you have a negative attitude, there's a 50% chance you're not gonna make it out of there
Really?
because your mind's not right.
Absolutely.
Now, you know, I think having your mind right, having your heart right, having your soul right, your energy right, helps to get your life right.
Absolutely.
And so you have decided to still I rise, irrespective of the divorce, irrespective of the passing of your former husband, God rest his soul, irrespective of being player-hated by family members who say you ain't doing nothing. We save our worst behavior for those we care the most about. We save our worst behavior often for those we care the most about. And the path to hell is paved with good intentions. So you have people in your family who say they love you,
Yes.
who are doing nothing but diminishing and destroying your dreams because they are depressed, and hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. So people can love you and think that they're helping you and hurting you because they don't unconsciously want you to succeed because that reminds them of their failure.
Absolutely.
And in a blind town, a one-eyed man's king. If you don't know better, you can't do better. I was joking with you, but I really wasn't, about the dude you're dating, because we got to, and I'm going to do a video on this, we got to go around collecting our people. What do I mean by that? This is the CEO, by the way, I love this Hope Inside movie, the CEO of another bank, his wife, he was like encouraging other people this morning to come to SunTrust. You can't come to my bank, I don't want to mention the name, but if you can't come to my bank, come to SunTrust. So it was like a spirit of collaboration around this initiative, even though they're fierce competitors. Well, his wife was saying last night, she said, I go around collecting my people. What does that mean? I'm going around, not just because you're smiling at me and saying you're my friend, that don't make you my people. No. I want to get to know you. I want to know whether you're negative, whether you're positive, whether you're spiritual, whether you believe, whether you're... Because if you're not my people, I can know you, but you can't be close to me.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. You hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th.
Amen.
So
They don't know
let me
nothing.
jump into it. I know because having financial stress is very uncomfortable.
It is.
People feel embarrassed, and that's why they don't attack the issue. They just deal with it.
Yeah.
How did the counselors at Hope Inside treat you?
Oh my God. Like I was more than somebody. That I was one that needed a little help. And she was right there for me to guide me along, to show me this is how you do it.
And I'll tell
And
you,
I'm
John,
telling you, I tell folks, I tell family, not that I don't have a big family, they all right. But you need to go and sign up with Hope. It costs you nothing.
Well, thanks to
But the
SunTrust.
benefit,
Yeah, it costs me nothing for the help. I was telling her, I said, you got these little things all around the city. Credit repair, $250. I wish I would. And you can't help me.
That's right.
You can't help me.
Most of them want you to file bankruptcy,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
And
So what about you? What did they do for you, or how did they treat you?
She treated me wonderful. When I came in, she was enthusiastic about helping me, and she was just ready to get it started. And she was upfront. It's gonna be a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices, but in the end, it's gonna pay off. And she just kept reassuring that it would pay off. And every time that I came, she was like, "Okay, where are we now?" And she gave me a checklist. And sometimes I was just like, "Okay, so before I open this book, some of this stuff on the checklist I haven't completed. Oh, well, just open it. Let's see where you at. Let's see what you did get done." And she just encouraged and celebrated the small things that I did, whether it was I started putting $100 in savings, or I called one of my credit companies and said, "Hey, how can I pay this credit off?" Just anything that I did to help me get a better credit score and help me be financially stable, she celebrated. And I was just like, okay, I can do this, because now not only is she holding me accountable, but she's celebrating my victories that I made, whether it was just, okay, I walked into the bank, but I walked back out because I got scared and I don't want to talk to nobody. She was like, "Good, you walked in the bank. Now next time, let's go talk to somebody." Or she would, if it was something that I forgot to do with the bank, because we're here on site, she was like, "Okay, let's walk to the front. We're going to do it right now." I'm like, "Now?" She's like, "Yeah, we're going to do it now." So
I think that is great. And I think that's important for everybody viewing this today, is that you have no excuse not to come.
None.
Not to come and get help.
None.
All we want you to do is just say, the first thing is, I think the key to success is understanding you got an issue. And once you understand you got an issue, and you got an organization like SunTrust and Hope Inside ready to help you, it's no excuse to come. Nobody's going to make you feel inferior because of your lack of knowledge.
No.
I mean, that's why the whole program is here,
If you don't
to
know.
help bring people up.
If you don't know.
Don't know, and it's bringing people the resources and the tools they need to take action to
That's it.
gain financial confidence.
Absolutely.
That's what this is all about for all our viewers. So you got no reason. Nobody's going to talk down to you. Nobody's going to say you're not smart. They're going to say, let me help you be better in financing. That's it.
And you know what, Johnny, the thing about being a previous coach, we share our stories because we're not perfect sitting there. We're not there having it all together or had it all together. We come from somewhere, and so we share those testimonies so that people can let their guard down and feel more inclined to share and be open with us. So no judgment zones when you come inside of a Hope Inside.
What's your name again, sir? Guy trying to hide? Tom. So Tom, turn around. Tom, the communications director for one of them for SunTrust. No, turn it back around. No. So Tom, is your life perfect?
No, not at all. Of course not.
Not getting your business, but I mean, I'm gonna be a little. You got as much money as you need. I mean, you got all the money in stock you need. You don't need anything else, right?
Well, I wouldn't be here if I was, right?
So, and you made a mistake or two in your life, right?
Everybody has.
Everybody has, and you have some kind of financial decision you got to make every week or every month. Requires some deliberation and maybe it makes you a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and last question: you got somebody in your family who's absolutely toe up from the flow up, don't you? Financially?
Of course, everybody does. Yeah, we all know someone.
Everybody got a cousin Boo Boo. Okay, so my point is, he looks like he just came out of a Brooks Brothers cabinet. and Johnny here, looks like, he has never care in the world. Lance, but you're human. You're gonna make mistakes. The question is not about whether you make a mistake because you're not a mistake. You made one. It's about getting back up. And it's about coming to Hope Inside at one of the SunTrust locations. We have 200 locations. People have been asking me, are you in the Gables, Florida? Are you in this? I mean, it's a constant stream of are you? I know we're coming into a certain. Somebody asked me about North Carolina. Yes, we're going to North Carolina.
Yeah,
I think
we're coming.
We're in
soon.
Raleigh.
In Raleigh, we're going to Raleigh. So yes, there's 200 Hope Inside locations. We're planning with SunTrust. Give us some time. We're staging the openings. But Raleigh, yes, Raleigh is coming. And as we sort of wrap this up, and I'm going to turn it over to Johnny to finish. Just a couple comments. Tressa Johnson Clemens says, I'm changing my bank back to SunTrust. I didn't know about the Hope program. Thank you. Yolanda Frazier says, wise woman. Ask her, can she adopt me as my new grandma? I could talk to her all day on the porch. Gotta love it.
I got a porch.
And who owns it?
She owns it.
With my name.
With her name on it. Damian Wallace says, you never know who you're dealing with. She's a chemist, y'all. Is there Hope Inside in Coral Gables, Florida?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, that's a SunTrust footprint heavily. And we'll
It is.
coming soon. So, I mean, just on that point, I mean, we plan to have 200 locations by 2020, and that the goal is to see 150,000 people, help 150,000 people a year to gain financial confidence. So, Florida, we're all over the Southeast, and our goal is to hit all our markets and cover them accordingly.
People like Antoinette Skeens, are you coming to Boston? I don't know if we're in Boston or not.
No.
I need your help. Okay, for Rasheen Kearney, please, we need your help in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yes? Is that it?
We cover Charlotte too.
Okay,
So
all right,
we got
great.
a big presence in Charlotte.
Is there a program, SunTrust, here in Savannah, Georgia?
Yeah, we cover Savannah. I
Savannah.
don't know if we opened up a location yet, but
Not
that's
yet.
what I market. So
Yeah. So we look. The SunTrust executives are looking at this. They'll be looking at the comments. We'll try to be responsive. I can't make a promise about where they're going to open locations. They run their bank. I run my organization. But we talk a lot, and we try to be responsive to needs. And if there's a large response or need in, say, Savannah, Georgia, my guess is if you start sending a bunch of letters to the head of marketing at SunTrust, or just send him to Johnny. By the way, he's rich. Yeah, that's why he's sitting there so chill and relaxed. He's rich. That's why I'm nervous and I'm Pope. If you send him to SunTrust, just send notes about where you want to open side location. You'll find that they're very responsive. They want to hear from you. Yes.
I have one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Hope instilled in me to continue to pay my bills on time.
Repeat that again now.
To pay my bills on time.
Why is that important to you?
Credit score.
But what's underneath the credit score? In other words, why do you care about your credit score? What?
It'll get me anything I want.
That's right.
I needed,
Financial
all I
confidence.
needed
we
was,
call that financial confidence.
yes sir, all I needed in my new home, with my name on it,
That sounds like a
Was.
song.
was I needed a nice sofa and a refrigerator. That's all I needed. I went and got it. No down payment. Very nice sofa because I don't want to buy anything over and over and over like some people do.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy the best because I deserve the best.
Amen.
That's right.
And I think that's the benefit of a good credit score.
Absolutely.
And solid financial management that you
Yes.
learn from.
And I'm in the bank
Hope
all the
inside.
time. Yeah, I work in Hernando. I do home health care now. I go in the bank all the time and they said, "You deposit money again?" I said, "Yes." I said, "That's how I work it."
And why? And by the way, depositing your money, like if you put your money in your mattress, somebody comes and steals, somebody breaks in your house. That is not insured. It's insured up to $250 million in $250,000 in a bank account. So it doesn't matter what happens to the bank branch. Your money is guaranteed by the federal government, dollar for dollar.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter whether Johnny likes you or don't like you. Your money is guaranteed. I used to have a toe-up credit score. I had, when I was growing up, I had 18% interest car note. And I recently got a car, and I paid 1.99% interest. And I actually felt bad that I was paying so little. I mean, I didn't understand how the folks were making any money. But the reality was they saw me as so little a risk that they like, for them, this is found money. They're going to get return on their money. They don't have to do anything for it. They know I'm going to pay them back. So for them, it's less risk. So a lower interest rate, lower return for them, but it's also less work. But if they charge you 15%, 12%, 18%, they think they don't have to chase you. And they build all that risk into your pricing. And so when she gets her credit score up, her rates go down. My mother has an 855 credit score. I didn't even know it went that high. My mother can get anything. She can just go online to SunTrust and just dream. I want a boat. I want to buy a vacation house. And they don't care what color she is. My mother's green. When the answer was just yes, 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 yes. 855 credit score, Johnny. You guys tripping over each other.
Yeah, that's on the rooftop.
Yeah.
Mine was 3%.
You're
on their
3%.
house.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
Yes,
great
sir.
rate.
3% mortgage rate?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's unbelievable. That's fantastic.
It's on paper.
That's Warren Buffett
And
rates.
that's one thing I don't have to lie about. It's on paper.
That's right.
I saw.
Yeah.
So did your self-esteem, we're going to wrap this up now. Did your self-esteem go up when your credit score went up?
Yes, sir.
Did your self-esteem go up when your credit score went up?
Yes.
Why?
Because by me having such a low credit score the very first time, it was just like I felt like I can't do anything. Like if I try to buy a car, get a credit card, I'll have extremely high interest rates. So then I'm spending more money. But now that my credit score is higher, it's just like, oh, I can get my credit score up. And if I want to do something, my interest rate's not going to be as high as it was. So just to know that it's more of a peace of mind for me to know that I don't have to worry about, are they going to tell me no? Or if they tell me, or if they say yes, I'm going to have a 20% interest rate. That's how I felt. But now that my credit score is going up, I don't have that feeling. It's just like, I can do this. Let's keep going. Let's see how high I can get.
Absolutely.
So,
John, your last word, brother.
No, I just want to say to all the viewers, you have no reason not to enhance your life by taking care of your financial situation. This is one of the most important things you can do outside of your health. And generally, most people have bad health because they got all the stress from their financial matters.
Absolutely.
If you can take the financial matter piece and get it under control, it's amazing how much smoother your life, your household, and everything can run. And you got no excuse. You got no barriers of entry. This is provided free via SunTrust in partnership with Hope Inside, who are only thing they're focused on lightening the weight of financial well-being and helping people achieve financial confidence. That's all it's about, because as a purpose-driven company, we want to make sure we make this America better than it was before we got here. And I gave you the stats earlier, and I only say those again, but the bottom line is, if America's going to be great again, we got to build our middle income. The middle income bracket has to be rebuilt, and that's what it is, getting that credit score from 550 or 400 up to 700. That's the start of getting you back into the middle income class and building our company and building the whole United States.
So SunTrust could go and try to compete with the bank across the street, and then they can trade competing, trying to get me. And they can go back and forth with, I got John this month, and then somebody else, well, I got to give John a lower rate next month. They try to take the John Bryants of the world, which is the top 10% of the marketplace, and they carving deep into their returns, trying to undercut their competitor. But there's a whole group of people, 100 million people, who are like these two people, who aren't even on the radar screen because their credit score was low, or because they don't go and walk in the bank, they don't feel like they're worthy, or whatever, they've had a bad experience. So they're off on the sidelines, getting preyed upon by these financial predators. What if you bring them back into the light? Just like you've heard these stories. You bring them back in the light, and then you get them to a point where they're approvable. Now, SunTrust is not just doing something that's good for community, it's doing something good for SunTrust.
Amen.
Somebody said to me, oh, are you trying to create customers for SunTrust? I am! Yes, I am. I'm creating a whole farm club of my people. I'm collecting my people. Well, this one I'm collecting their people. Yes, I want a whole group of people. When a bank makes a commitment for 200 locations for our people,
Wow.
to support counselors at no expense to us, as you said, it costs nothing. These services cost nothing, and they write this kind of a check. We're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars. You want the experiment to work. Hello? You want the experiment to work. You want them to have bankable customers that they can do business with. And when you do that, you get what's the rate?
3%.
Hello? A 3%. So
Three.
my bargain is this. If we deliver you these great customers, you're going to treat them well, right?
Sure. Why would I not treat you?
I love
Why would they not treat
SunTrust.
them well? So the
love
better
that.
you do, the more financial intelligence you gain, the lower your cost of funds, the better deal you get in life, the more opportunities available to you, the doors of life open up, everybody wins. See, it's not like somebody tried to do this at scale and it failed, ladies and gentlemen. No one's ever tried this. That's why I brought to you the story of the Freedmen's Bank. That's why I started it that way. It's not like we've tried free enterprise and responsible capitalism, and it failed at scale. It has not. It has not failed. We haven't tried it. Now we're going to try it, and we're going to have a successful experiment that's not just community engagement, not just community investment. And by the way, that's disrespectful to me. If for a bank to see me coming through the door or see you and just say, "Oh, that's just a little goodie. That's a little social experiment." I feel sorry for those little. No, don't feel sorry for me. I want you to feel. I want a hand up, not a handout. What did James Brown say? The James Brown version of affirmative action. Open the door, I'll get it myself.
Amen.
What we want is a generation of middle-class strivers, builders, who are coming up in life, who have earned the respect that they get. So that now SunTrust is fighting over you as a customer, to get you and to keep you. And then we change the whole mentality, the whole image of people who are so-called poor, black, brown, minority, as being strivers, as being worthy, right? And then this becomes a business model. And we hope the whole banking industry does this at scale. I want to be in grocery stores, big box, I want to be everywhere. And you're the key, right? So I want to thank Johnny. I want to thank the SunTrust family. This is part of a documentary, by the way, we're going to be doing on Dr. King's final flight into Memphis. This is part of a larger conversation because Dr. King had some unfinished work with the Poor People's Campaign of '68, and we're going to finish that work today. And you're part of that narrative. You're part of that story. I want to thank the head of the communication here for allowing me to pull him into the story a little bit. Very cool dude. He's like the local James Bonner banker. Look at him. Look how cool he is. I want to thank Lance Triggs and all my team, Ambassador Andrew Young, Love you guys. This is the civil rights movement. You gotta say that slowly, otherwise it says civil rights. The civil rights
Silver.
movement. The silver, you have to roll that tongue. The civil rights movement, from civil rights to silver rights, is about being unbought and unbossed. Unbiased, coming to you straight. That's the Shirley Chisholm quote. Coming to you straight and no chaser from Memphis, Tennessee. This is a movement about you in the suites and not the streets. This is about civil rights, about class and poverty, not race in the color line. You deal with class, you get race for free. I'm out.
Okay.